and my whole life. Mom, I see you. Good to see you, ma. My whole life has been based on creativity and constantly innovating and evolving. I was here the last time. Thank you so much for having me. Who was here the last time? Oh my God! Yay! Well, good to see you guys. So I'm not going to come and talk about my story. I think the bio says a lot, and you can go on the real platform page to watch the old video. Let's do that, right? Today I want to talk about mental health and wellness. I'm not going to talk about business. I think a lot of us are doing that. I'll talk about entrepreneurship. I was actually going to get all of you to stand up. You people have ruined my intro by doing that. But you know, you've heard about all the different people that have come on stage and the way they live their lives, the way they started their business, the way they become great entrepreneurs. I know many of the people, my sisters. Amazing to see everybody here. But one thing most people don't talk about is how it affects you physically and mentally. I think when you start business or work, any type of work, even when you start the first time, for most of us don't just get up and have experience, right? There are a lot of jobs that you do that you learn on the job. Many of us have gone through that. I think most of the jobs that I've accepted, I've learned on the job, almost each and every one of them. And you build yourself through that learning. You start to learn how best to go about things. You fail by not learning to evolve or match whatever it is. Samia said earlier about knowing yourself. And I will use my own example. I had a studio. In fact, I think I had 3 studios in Abuja. All failed. But I won because I had so many young people able to use these studios free of charge, learn, because I didn't have that experience, I didn't have the mentors, I didn't have the people to help me. So when I opened those studios, I didn't really think profits. I'm still not profit-oriented or business-oriented. I'm really worse when it comes to business. I needed to get a partner that now helps with that. But I had a space where we got to know ourselves and we got to connect and learn. I learned from others when they come with their creative ideas. Younger people are way more innovative than we are. But many of us were stuck in our ways, or we still have a lot of that pressure that comes from parents, society, unlike where we are today, right? Social media has helped us see how the world functions, and we're picking both the good and bad from social media. So in running these businesses, we would have sleepless nights, as usual. When they tell you being an entrepreneur is a 24-hour job, it's not a joke. So for those who want to start business, you really have to think about how it impacts you, how it impacts your family, how it impacts your own life and your day-to-day. So I would have sleepless nights. I think I told this story in the past when I had my 2 little children and I had to plan my life around what I wanted to achieve. And I would take the kids to school, sleep, wake up just when it's about to be closing time, get ready, pick them up. Luckily, they're not like older kids, so the kids close 12:31 at the time. I'll take them home, and then I book all my food. That's when I was a photographer. Then I would book my shoots in the afternoon, right? And then in the night, when everybody is asleep, that's when I do my editing, that's when I'm doing my calculations, that's when I'm thinking of which offices to barge into. Just like Shu said here, there are many people who didn't value photography, but I would walk into their offices and say, listen, this is what I can supply to you. I don't think these pictures are worth it. I don't think this is good enough. And I have people like Ogwa here, and people like Samia who put me on a stage, right, for the Abuja Young Entrepreneurs Awards. And that gave me more confidence to say, you know what, I don't really need to know anybody. I'm going to keep walking into offices. And they started getting from just individuals in the house to major companies, to development partners, to government. Like it just kept rolling and rolling and rolling. And one thing I realized was that I did not like being in the studio. I hated it. Hated it. I hated having a regular 9-to-5 job. I love being on my feet. I love to travel. I love to explore. If anybody ever comes for a photo shoot, I want to be in the bush. Like, I love being in the outdoors. So having a regular desk job just did not sit well with me. I did not like it. So I ended up having to come up with these different job aspects, and then I transitioned into government. But before that, you had nights where you're not asleep. You're not sleeping. You're irritable. You're tired. You have customers disturbing your life. You have, so many things to meet. I remember when I used to do the not ready to wear, the bespoke. And I remember one day coming to your office, and there was the worst client I had ever seen in my life. I went to pick up some kaftans. She had made some kaftans for me. And I remember sitting there thinking, I will slap this person. But as God would have it, I ended up in customer service. And I had to learn by force. It didn't matter who walked in through the door, I had no right to be rude. And the office was not going to accept that. So I learned patience, I learned understanding human behavior, I learned how to, when someone comes and attacks you, there are ways to help to break it down. But you see, if you're not sleeping, if you're not resting, you can't be clear-headed enough to have the emotional intelligence to deal with human beings, to have the emotional intelligence to run a business because you're going to deal with people, to have the emotional intelligence to succeed at your job. There are so many things and aspects that this sleep that we take for granted. Philip said something here earlier. He said something about sleep. I can't remember exactly. Customers don't sleep. You as the owner of the business better sleep. Because when they come at you, you need to constantly just be in the frame of mind to handle those things. And the same, I'm saying this across the board, regardless of where you work. Sleep is such an important part of our lives. And that's one thing I know, growing up, I really took it for granted. Because I love being up and about, I love being on my feet. I love being out there. And then in trying to make myself happy, I'm still having to deal with family, I'm still having to make time for friends. You burn out. You burn out, and I learned the hard way. The last, I hosted a TEDx in Kebbi State called TEDx Arun. If you've not watched it, go on YouTube, TEDx Arun. And what I went through to organize that event, I had no sleep probably 4 days prior, and I probably got maybe 2 hours, and in between I'll get a nap in the car, and everything went smoothly, luckily, alhamdulillah. As soon as we shut down that event, I got on a plane back home, right? And I came home, and of course I had my little kids. They took a long time, they've not seen me, so I had to stay up, extra, blah, blah, blah. Next thing I knew, I just woke up and I saw myself with doctors around me. How that happened, I have no idea. But there was a drip in my hand, I could see them trying to find veins on my leg. It was just, and all why? Burnout. I had told my brain, I had told my body, we're gonna keep going, we're going to keep going, we have to achieve this, we have to make this happen. And a lot of us do this, where we crash ourselves without planning. You have this event. There's so many aspects of Nigeria that can slow you down, understandably. But I need each and every one of us to understand that if your body is not functioning, your mind is not functioning, you cannot win. It's impossible. It doesn't work. There's so many people in mental health spaces right now, trying to get their head back because they've carried too much. And the pressure I see with young people nowadays, we didn't have that. You're looking at social media, you're trying to stay relevant, you're creating videos, you're doing things, and once you're off for a little bit, you have people telling you, this person is coming, this business, you should. We talk about this all the time. I love that our generation, everybody supports everybody, whether you're in the fashion space, in the business spaces, we support ourselves. But you have those that will come and be like, but so and so is coming, and you're giving this gap, this space, you're going to lose out in this business. And I say to them, well, I know them, I will support. We have 250 million people in Nigeria, I think there's market. Yes or no?
Yes.
There's market for everybody and everything. You have people selling cars. Tomorrow it cannot be the size of the car that will make you relevant. When people want to do the birthday things, they go for those huge ones that they can stand next to and take pictures. But there are those who are selling the little cars, way more than that. So when they talk about innovation, you can innovate and catch your own aspect of that business, right? But for me, one of the most important things, like I said, is to ensure you balance. And you can never achieve balance, to be honest, in life. You're not God. We are all not God. That's the only perfect being, right? And you have to be able to think and know when to relax. I'm standing on my feet today with gratitude. I was on my bed for 3 days. I stepped on a thorn. I have traveled, probably to 10 countries in the last 2 months for work. And I was exhausted, I was tired. I still had work to do this week. And they say when you're asking God for things, be specific. It's like, I am tired. I don't want to see, in fact, I even made a post on it saying I don't want to see the inside of the plane for a long time. But I went on my balcony, I was watering my plants that I had there, and then I stepped on a thorn, and it was nothing, it was just a little thing that I just pulled out. Nothing. I've been in my bed since Tuesday. I couldn't walk, my leg was swollen. I ended up going to the clinic. I was forced to rest. And I said to myself, I was exhausted. I could have actually said, listen, I'm tired. Can I just take 2-3 days off? But I didn't. But God was like, babe, you better calm down. This is too much. So I was there. The few times I made it out, I literally was at one point when I was at the clinic and they were touching it, I said, just cut the leg, just cut the leg. But I woke up with gratitude because we have all these things, these little things around us that make us who we are and give us that level of function. And you may or you may not know, but you could be killing yourself. In my years of being in Kenya, I had more gray hairs than I do now. I probably had like 20 something, now they're like 2. And I asked my doctor, what's going on? And he said, well, you see, the body, the levels of stress can age you. Stress can age you. Don't carry, what's that quote? I can't come and kill myself.
Yes.
Abi? So you have to know those times when you can't come and kill yourself. Come and be going to bed. You know? And there are days that you need to know and say to yourself, okay, listen, everybody around me wants something. Everybody takes. I think each and every one of us, when we're talking about relationships, when it's a give and take situation, you have people that they'll say, oh, this person is a user. But we all use ourselves. We all use ourselves for commitment, we all use ourselves for our own relationships, businesses, everything. We talk about social capital. It's using, it's like a two-way street. You give, you take, you give, you take. But when you realize that everybody around you, the constant, because we have different personalities in life, learn about personalities. For those who don't know, go online, there's so many free personality tests that will tell you who you are. Are you dominant? Are you a sissy? As they would say. But gender people don't come for me, I didn't know. But you know what I mean? Like, you need to know who you are, what your personality is. Because there are people who have personalities they constantly want to give. That's what makes them who they are. And people take those kind of people for granted. So you need to know when to say no. Know when to say no. No is such a sweet word for me now. Once I reach a certain level, I'm sorry, I'm unavailable, I can't make it, I'm exhausted, I'm tired. I need time to think. You cannot create, you cannot be innovative without having a clear mind. You would make mistakes. And if you're clear-minded, you will see those mistakes as they happen. But when you're not, hey, look at you. And when you're not, you know, you lose in the end. Thank you so much, my time is up.
Thank you so much. Also, would you like to say questions? So you still have your... Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much again for that rousing welcome. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.
So we have watched and listened to your very rich profile. That's surprising you we're thinking about. Alright, so the first thing is, what would you say is your most outstanding quality for you to play these multiple roles and be able to transition into films? What is that thing that you have?
So my new tag is, I say I'm a multi-potentialite, multi-hyphenate. I will not be put in a box, and I am ready and willing to take risks, regardless of whatever the situation I find myself.
So talking about taking risk and then being able to, okay, so this question is 2 in 1. How are you able to not be afraid? You see a lot happening around you. The assignment, the task that you have to perform, they're huge. So the average lady out there, the young man there will feel, I'm not qualified, I don't have what it takes yet. And they'll probably be looking at you all gorgeously dressed and feel like you had it all rosy and all that. So how were you able to overcome, how were you able, and how are you able to just keep it going?
Oh, I did not overcome. Let's not even lie here. There are times that I will cry and bawl because not everything will go as you want. Nothing will ever go as planned. Like I said, we're not God, right? And there are things that have happened in my past that now I look back and realize they needed to happen. The first time I did a speaking engagement, I had no clue I was supposed to speak to that many people. I was told that I was going to speak to a number of students in Kano. I was scared out of my mind. Like my heart was racing. Even as we were speaking now, I was asking Samia, I'm like, what am I going to talk about? I was like, once I get on the stage, I'll just let the installation happen. And it was 1,000 people. My first proper speaking engagement in 2007, I was a nobody, as far as I'm concerned. I still am not. Because once you start to think that, you never really get things going. So for me, it's just take each day. Now I don't even move by the days, by the hour. Let's just keep going, and constantly having gratitude, because really, where will fear take you? There was something my mom said this weekend to one of my mentees, and she said, shyness will not take you anywhere. One day, whether you like it or not, your work must speak for you. So if you've achieved in this life, they will call you, they will look for you, the interviews will happen, the world wants to know your story. And I can tell you this, if you go, there's a Wikipedia right now online that was named with my name. I didn't do it. And I have no idea who created it. But it wouldn't be how I would tell my story. Do you understand? Learn to tell your own story. Once you can be who you are, wherever you are, there's no fear. Like, what's the worst that could happen? What really is the worst that could happen?
Okay, so do we have, let's give it to just one person. Okay, yes, sir. We have ladies, please, let's have it.
So before they get ready, I have 10 of Mr. Kumala's book to give out. 10.
Wow.
Only 2 women. I'm going to be very biased today.
God bless
Okay, maybe I'll dash you to some guys. Let's do what the world does to us and do 80-20. How about that? So 80% women, 2 guys.
So, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for your wonderful profile and mentorship. My question is that, considering your high profile as an entrepreneur, a financial expert or captain per se, what was your impact to Nigerian youths and women as a financial captain or a mentor?
As a financial captain.
Yeah.
Hey, I have a new thing to add, financial captain. I said it myself, I fail when it comes to finance. Maybe because you saw I work for the Minister of Finance. But one thing I know is for the last 20 years, I have been doing talks like this, I have been mentoring, I have created different things for different people depending on where I find myself. I'm constantly trying to pick people up as much as I can, create awareness on using my platform to create awareness on events like this, And then whenever I find myself in policy-making committees, I ensure that the youth and women are captured. That's one thing I know I've done across board for the past, how many years now? 7 years. For the past 7 years. Wherever I find myself in government working committees, I ensure that the women and youth are captured, regardless.
All right, final question before you leave. So you do a lot of things, and even the SDG recognizes partnerships. So how would you encourage the audience, someone listening here that perhaps does not believe in partnerships, say no, you just do it yourself, because people are going to, they're going to stab you at your back, they're going to maybe make you lose money and all that.
So let me get this context. You mean for a business owner, or?
Whatever venture you want to go into, someone may have one may be employed, you're on a job, and have a passion to do things for people. You need to run the vision with people. You can't do everything yourself. So how would you go to partnership? How would you collaborate?
How many people saw the Twitter bosses, the bad bosses? There was an entire hashtag on bad bosses. Put your hands up if you. Thank you. You cannot win in life without people. Those guys got away with it for so long. And when it was time, the young people outrightly named them, said the way they were doing things. Like, one thing you need to understand in this life is that you can never take people for granted. You can never work alone. I say this, I know we don't have much time, but I say this, you're looking at the value chain of what you're doing. So he talked about doing shirts. And what he did was he looked at the value chain. The people who are buying shirts will definitely want to wear it with something, right? You're connecting that value chain. And in partnership, and we're talking, you said the SDGs, that's even on a bigger level. But let's bring it down to just being an individual. I always use this example of the akara seller. Let's take it to the barest minimum. We'll take it to the street. These women that you see on the road, or the mesuya, that are doing their little businesses in front of that place, even they need people. The akara seller must buy beans somewhere, must buy oil somewhere, right? Must buy the frying pan that she's using, the firewood that she's getting. Every aspect of that akara value chain is important. If she does not get oil from so and so, that akara will not be fried, right? And you can say, okay, there are many options all over the place. But let's just say I happen to spend 12,000 naira for a gallon of oil, and I get to meet someone who supplies oil. What's going to happen? I should be able to negotiate to get a retail, like a wholesale price, so it makes it cheaper for me. That's a partnership. There's so many partnerships that work. I see many people in different industries connecting today that should be competitors. But when they come together, they sell even more. Partnership is so important. And I think that attitude is just people who are not brought up right. I'm sorry.
All right, thank you very much. She's done amazingly well. Please, ladies and gentlemen, let's applaud her. Thank you. So everyone, something is about to happen, and we're about to act a movie.
Yay! The character.
Okay, so she would like to do this herself. Aisha had promised that she's going to give out 10 copies of KJ's books. Ladies and gentlemen, get ready.
With the people who ask questions. Let's do that. Yes? It's getting more.
Okay, people ask a question.
It looks like I have a lot of work to do today. So, I've been informed by Dr. Samia that she will also be giving out 10 books. And trust me, you will love this book. So we had only one person that asked a question. Everybody who asks questions, let's start with them. Because that's the most important thing about being at an event is to listen, to ask, to clarify. Yes, I remember her.
All right.
So yes, everybody who asks a question, let's hear from them. I hope that motivates you to ask. Yes, we have someone right here.
Careful.
I'm going to be biased and give a book to my namesake, Aisha. She forced me to wear this outfit today. What do you guys think? Partnership.
Sit down now.
So Aisha gets one. 3 more. Oh, I love how you quickly put up your hand. The guy with the green over there.
People are putting hand.
So we can do it.
Sit down. Okay, shift now.
Where did you guys travel from? Did anybody come here for this event from outside the country? We cannot dash him his own book. I will give him my own book when I publish it. Say amen for me.
There was a young man who came to us.
Have you got yours?
He was asked to go back. Alright, this is.
You came from Kebbi.
Kebbi.
Hell, he has finished me. Our Kebbi. If you're from Kebbi, stand up.
If you travel
Are you
from
saying? Okay, so we'll have my Kebbi people because that's my constituency. I'm sorry.
Yes.
I
We
came
still
from
have
Oshogo.
Yes. And then there's this guy.
It's only for people there.
I came from Oshogo.
Come this way. Too.
I came from Oshogo.
My Kebbi people, please come to the front. I'm being biased, I'm sorry. Do you know how important it is for me to have my relatives in the hall?
Dr. Aisha
So
is not
important.
her name is Dr. Aisha.
Hashtag our
Check.
Okay, so I think we have Samia.
Dr. Aisha, I am right behind you. And I'm from Oshogo.
Should I just add 10 more?
Yes!
Okay, you know what, in fact, we'll distribute 50 books. How about those who have lifted their hands, please.
Are you not lifting your hand?
Okay, so we're giving out 50 books. You know what? Good morning, everyone. All I can say is that it's a setup to put me under shoes. So I don't have jokes, so you might not laugh, but I will try and make sense. My sisters are here, so I'm trying not to disgrace all the female entrepreneurs in Abuja. My name is Dr. Samia Ahmed, as introduced, but I like to say that I'm now a doctor of boobs. So I'm a trained and licensed medical doctor, but I'm now a full-time entrepreneur. And that's where I'm going to start my talk from. Imagine you, a daughter of 2 well-known medical doctors, who has been nicely groomed to toe the line, deciding that, no, I'm not going to practice medicine. Can you imagine? Typical Nigerian family. It wasn't funny. When I was 19 in medical school, I think the first class of gross anatomy is when they bring out the cadavers. Cadavers are dead bodies that have been found. The moment they brought out the want to be. But I powered through, and I became a really good doctor. I got really good, feedback from my superiors, from patients. I was a good doctor, so it wasn't like I was slacking. But throughout my medical school, I was also an entrepreneur. At 19, I realized that I was in school with pretty boring people. FICOs, we started as a class of, I think, 300 and something pre-med, and only about 49 of us crossed over. Me, I win picture, I passed, but there were serious FICOs in my class, so they were all about books. People that if there was a holiday, they would stay in school and read, and I was going home every weekend. I just didn't get it. So I realized that, these people would not know some things that I know. They wouldn't have all these cute things that I like to have. So I started to go to the Korean markets in Lagos at the weekends, and I would buy cute stationery and cute key rings and go and sell to my colleagues in medical school. That was how my journey into entrepreneurship started. And what it did for me, starting at 19 with no responsibility, because my dad and my mom were taking full care of me. What it did for me at 19 was, first of all, it made me love money. The financial independence was nice. I remember one time I was going to school and my dad had to call me from the balcony. Samia, you didn't get your allowance. And I'm like, oh, because I had money of my own. But the financial independence, even at 19, was really nice. But it also, what it did for me that I appreciate the most was it did away with business fear. That was 19, I'm 40 now. So in the past 21 years, I think I must have founded about 12 or more companies. And now I'm settled on 4. Oh, no, not all of them are successful, calm down. I'm settled on 4. But what it is that I'm never, ever afraid to start. When you start early, because when you're young, what are you using your money for? I used to pack all my money, go on holiday, and go and spend it, come back and do it all over again. But it did away with my business fair. There's nothing that scares me about business now, because the worst case scenario is you will lose money. And I'm going to quickly talk on something that Shoots and Mr. Kole talked about as well, is that when you're growing in business, you realize that money is good, but money is pretty much the least significant thing. Because money will come and go, regardless of how they tell you, be good with your money is fluid. It's just built to flow. But social currency is why I'm here today. I've never met him. Somebody recommended me to him. Many of you don't know who I am, but I'm here. After today, you know that there's one somebody that they put on the stage that was a doctor and now became a doctor of both. It's social currency, and I know that my sisters will tell you the same thing when they step on stage. It's how you treat the people that you meet that will get you where you want to get. It's as simple as that. The doors will open, they might open on your merit, but like I said, if you want to sit at the table, if you want to be taken seriously, you have to leverage on social currency. So when I teach, because I do teach as well, when I teach people little questions like, oh, Sam, do I have to show my face when I'm running my business? Do people have to know that I'm the one behind businesses? I'm like, well, for someone like me, it would be stupid not to. Because half of my businesses are supported by people that just like Samia. But what that means is that you also have to come correct, because when they like you and that makes them curious about what you're doing, you have to make it worth their while. So it's not enough to say you have social currency and people like you. Like is not going to sustain you. Truth, you're not telling them. If they like you and they call you to come and perform, or they give you a chance and you mess up, many people don't get second chances. So you have to make sure that you're also qualitative. So first thing I was going to talk about was doing away with business fair. And doing away with business fair for me was just recognizing opportunities. And every single one of my businesses and every single thing that I do has stemmed from just recognizing gaps in specific markets. In fact, that's the first thing in my bio, Samia and the fields gaps in specific markets. And there are many people here that are published in the university and are waiting for that big break, or when I hammer, or when I become this, or when I become that. No, you don't wait. You don't wait. You have to pay attention. You have to look around you and realize what is missing, what do people need. Everything that people complain about is a business opportunity. The other day in my States, we ran out of diesel in the middle of the night. And apparently there's a company that supplies it for 24 hours. I didn't know that. Somebody just realized, yes, people will run out of diesel in the middle of the night. I'm going to make myself available for that service. So everything that people complain about, oh, Nigeria is this, oh, this food is that, oh, this person is this, it's a likely business opportunity. And that's just what I leveraged on. I grew up in Lagos, born and bred, I've been full of Moeko. And just like shoes, when I came here, I knew nobody but my in-laws that I was just getting to know. I was coming from a city where my parents were both very popular medical doctors, so I always lived sort of in their shadow. And when I was coming here, I said to myself, who are you, Samia? Who are you? I had to truly discover myself. And I remember at my wedding reception, when I was walking off, because my family, they would take you to a different room to pray for you before you head off with your in-laws. One of my cousins grabbed my hand, and she said to me, oh, Samia, so you're really just going to go away and go to Abuja like that? And I turned back and I said, oh, don't worry, Irene, inshallah, you'll hear only good things about me. She reminded me of that conversation just 2 months ago. She said, we really are hearing good things about you. Because I was determined. I didn't know how. I didn't know what, roles I would play. But I knew that I wanted to, for the first time in my life, be Samia Oyeko Ahmed. I didn't want to be Dr. Oyeko's daughter, or Jackson's sister, or this person's person. I wanted to be myself. So I started to do something that, honestly, I have on the notes, and I hope that this is what I hope all of you take away from here. Because it's nice to say discover yourself. It's nice to say develop yourself. But if you don't know yourself, what are you discovering? I sit with 40, 50-year-old women, because I do one-on-one business consultancies, and they haven't discovered themselves. They don't know who they are. So if I asked you, I pointed at someone and I said, describe yourself. You're going to either use your business, or your course, or something. You're going to associate yourself with something. My name is so-and-so, I'm the founder of so-and-so, I'm the daughter of so-and-so. Hardly a few people can describe themselves by themselves. So I started to do something that I call a self-analysis. And I really got to know myself. To the point that now there's nothing about me people to tell me. I'll tell you I know good, bad, ugly. I'll tell you I know. It's either I'm working on it, I've perfected it, but I know. And it's really easy. It's just really knowing yourself to the point that you know your strengths and your weaknesses. And when you know your strengths and your weaknesses, you know where you can key into. So when I sit down with people and I say, oh, what are you good at? And someone says, oh, I'm an amazing chocolate cake baker. Like everybody that has a chocolate cake is like, it's amazing. And my friends and my family are telling me to make a business of it. And I'm like, okay, but do you know that baking chocolate cakes for your friends and family every other week is different from running a business making chocolate cakes? And the lady that I sat with after this conversation, we came to the conclusion that she was too lazy to run a cake baking business. Because I'm like, you as a person, do you see yourself standing on your feet day after day, mixing, putting in the oven, baking, delivery, logistics? She's like, no, that's not for me. But she hadn't factored that in. All she knew was that she had the talent. Like Jude said, she recognized the talent in herself. She was willing to develop it, but it wasn't for her. So sometimes businesses don't work out because they're not right fits for our personalities. So if you don't know yourself enough to know that, look, I can't lie, I'm lazy. Or I can't lie, I procrastinate. You will not succeed at the things that other people will succeed. And you now say it's village people. Or you say, that one, she has a sponsor, and they like to say.
Yeah, my parents.
But not to digest too much. I was talking about, opportunity. A lot of the things that you want to do in life, and I try to think about this as well, opportunities will present themselves. It's left for you to grasp it or not. All of my businesses have been, oh, I'm just going to do that. And they grew and grew. My first book, I've been writing since I was probably 8 years old. My first published book was just me picking up my laptop and just typing a few words. And I have 2 books now. You don't wait till things are perfect. You don't wait till everything is in place. You do. You do. Period. They say just start. Literally just start. Do something. And activate and activate. The more steps you take forward, the more difficult it is to run back. But if you haven't even moved, if someone gives you a word of discouragement, you're just basically just like, yeah, I'm going to leave this. But if you go like 10 steps forward, it's hard for you to come back. You're going to look back like, no, I don't want to be there. So grab opportunities. Look around you. Find what is missing. I started Fusion, which is my longest standing company, like proper registered company, in 2009. No, there's nothing you want to tell me. I'm a woman, I just got married. My son was exactly 3 months old on the first Fusion day. I planned Fusion heavily pregnant. He was in his car seat at Fusion. I used to go for meetings with my daughter. I remember one time I had to seek sponsorship for Abuja Young Entrepreneur Meetings. And I was in this VVVIP, and I had to send a message saying, look, I don't have a nanny now. I'm going to have to come with my daughter. I said, her father to bring her. She poured Cheerios all over him. So there's nothing you don't come and tell me about. I'm a young wife, I'm a young mom. I'm going to tell you I'm so. Young wife, young mom, being led on that. That's the difference a lot of times. It's that some people grab and some people wait to be given. There are people that have bigger opportunities than many of us have. Big, opportunities. And you're like, child, if it was me. If it was me. But it's a lie. If it was you, you mess up just as bad, if not worse. So when I came to Abuja, after I was like, you know what, I want to do something by myself. The plan had been, okay, yeah, I'm still going with this farce of a medical career. But God had planned my life. Otherwise, I couldn't get into the hospital that I wanted to do my residency program in. And because I have been entrepreneurial right from medical school, I was like, I'm not going to sit down to do my thumbs. I'm going to find something to do. And I looked. I remember that I said to my husband, how are you doing this Abuja? I was also sending classes. What do you do for fun? What do you guys do? Like, where do you go? So I was like, I'm going to do something that brings people out. And honestly, shout out to people like Ogwa. Ogwa was my first sign up for the first ever Fusion Life. Please give a round of applause. For the first ever Fusion Life. This is social currency that we're talking about. These are people that we've been riding for years. There's never been any, just some years. So people with women now, that are passive. We're constantly giving each other tips, meeting up, talking, this thing. If Ogwa is not pushing, I'm kind of pushing, she's pushing, I can see it. Dreaming dreams on my behalf. That's what you do. That's what you do. See all this catty competition that we don't have time for that. Because all of us we know what we want to be. We don't have time to be saying, oh, this person did this or that person did that. No, it's not bad. Are you dealing with this economy now? What's happening? Let's meet up for lunch, let's talk. That's how we roll. So I started the first Fusion Lifestyle event, and I remember my dad called me, and he was livid. And it was interesting because when they were introducing me, the person that said Fusion said Fusion. Because in my dad's pastor, we refused to pronounce Fusion properly. And they say, Madam, Fusion. It's not Fusion, it's Fusion. And he was livid. It's like, this thing is going to distract you from medicine. I know what you're doing. I'm like, no, Daddy, I'm still doing my CMEs. I still did one with John Hopkins. And I said, I was still trying to please my parents. Still trying to please my parents. And my mom called me after the first Fusion. She's like, so how much money did you make? Who wants to guess how much I made? Just guess, ballpark figure. Minus 367,000. Negative. You've not taken all your savings and wasted it. You will not become a dependent wife. I said, Mommy, don't worry, I know what I'm doing. I made all that money back the second Fusion, and this is going to be our next, in December, I said to me, 13 years I've been doing this. And 13 years, we're still sold out, we're still relevant, we're still growing. So it's not 13 years of just holding on past glory, no. It's 13 years of innovation and growth and social currency. So when I built my credibility, oh my God, my time is up. Okay, when I built my credibility with Fusion, it was easy for me to start other things because people kind of knew if it's Samia, it will be qualitative.
Yeah.
And I always tell this story, and nobody believes because they say, where did you get the capital to start and my credibility. Somebody just came to me and said, I have a wedding, I need souvenirs. It was the deposits that she gave me that I used to buy the first stock of goods, took my profit, and obviously the money has come and gone many times after that. But if you know what I mean is, you don't have to have everything perfect before you can start. Take that away from me today. I have 4 businesses, so you're very timeline and very successes. And I'm not going to stand here and tell you, oh, it's all been rosy, or all my businesses are very successful. No, we have very successful days, and we have days where we suck. But we keep moving, we keep innovating. Just this year, I converted one of my physical stores to a virtual store because it just didn't make sense paying rent when 90% of our clients from our data were online clients. So we built a web store instead. So you will strategize, you will re-strategize, you will learn, you will unlearn, you will grow, you will make mistakes, you will make loads of money, you will lose loads of money, but you keep moving and moving. So 3 things I'm leaving you with. First is, what? Don't be afraid, start. I was saying to my husband yesterday, I said, you know this old money, we are going to be the old money for our children. We have to be the old money for our children. But you're not going to wait till everything is perfect. You use what you have now to start building. You form partnerships and collaborations, and you start building. So do away with fear. That's the first thing, do away with fear. The second thing is,
Know yourself.
seize opportunities. Look around you, there's always an opportunity. But as Chip said, and I always say, great idea is not a successful business. You have to add other things to the recipe to make it a successful business. So develop that idea, develop that plan, and then push it out. And the third thing, again, like I'm going to hammer on my Chip said, was social currency. You never grow too big to be rude and dismissive of people. Humble yourself, your shoulder back, keep it down. It's always better to be unassuming and prove yourself than to be loud and braggart. It doesn't serve you in any way. Let your work speak for you. I remember someone said to me one time, she was introducing herself, she's like, I can't believe you don't know me. I'm like, yeah, I don't vex. I remember that I came and I put on social media, I said, there's no popular you want to popular in this life that you have the right to use those words. You really don't know me? No. Not everybody will know you, not everybody will appreciate you. Just do what you have to do. So I will be here for the panel as well, so I'm hoping that maybe we can take some quick questions. Thank you, that's my time.
I'm going to, at this point, before we ask the questions that we have, and mind you, we're just asking questions because she also will not be around. When other speakers have their own session, we'll have a proper panel session for them. So to everyone listening and watching from around the world, I think it's important for us to know something. Since 2018, the Center for Real Impact has been crawling through financial pathway to make this happen. This is the 5th conference, and it might shock you that everything you see here is funded from out of the pocket. The pocket of the founder, the pocket of others, the pocket of people that gives support. This is our 5th conference. It's not been easy, yet we are not stopping. Even though during one of our sessions, our national director said, if we're not going to get money to do this, we're not doing it again. So I want to use this opportunity to make a call out. If you're here, you love what you're seeing, you love what you're experiencing, and you think it's going to be beneficial, you have ever benefited anything from here, and you are inroad to a financial money resource, to some resource that would help expand this, because we have a dream of taking it beyond Nigeria. We want to reach out to African nations. I have friends who have said that they wish they could have this in their own country. We want to be able to do that for the African person. So if you have what it takes to take us there financially, now is the time for you to work up to any, you can see if you don't find it on the screen, we're going to have it on the screen. But if you don't find it on the screen, just look for anyone in blue, just like I'm dressed, and has this signature scarf around my neck, and then tell them that you want to be able to make significant financial contribution in any way, either by introducing us to any of your network, organization, and trust me, we have enough resources, we've done enough work with our programs to just convince anybody that this is successful and it will solve problems, not just for Nigeria, but for Africa. Thank you. So we have questions for you. Thank you for that excellent and very personal delivery, sharing your stories. So you highlighted 3 very significant messages, and some of the questions that we already had, I think people did some research on you, kinds of time on that. So how were you able, you talked a lot about your family and what the expectations were, and being a female entrepreneur, there are definitely social barriers and bias and all that, and they expect that females don't like themselves. There's that language that women don't like themselves, and I'm glad you're sharing something you shared with your female friends. So as a female entrepreneur, how were you and are you able to break those cultural, social bias, and how were you able to navigate family expectations to get to where you are today?
Okay, so first of all, I grew up as an only daughter in a family of 6. So I have 3 brothers. And, thankfully, I was never raised to see my gender as a disadvantage. My father, I can't remember at any point in my life where it was, oh, you're a girl, do this, or these are the boys, do this. I was climbing trees with the boys. I was pretty much doing everything. So I can't really relate with the whole gender bias thing. But culturally, I'm a Yoruba person married to a man who's half Hausa and half Iberia. And I remember when I moved to the north, my husband grew up in Lagos, so it's not like a typical northerner. But when I moved to Abuja and I started Fusion, in the beginning stages of Fusion, we had a lot of media. There was a lot of publicity. I was always in one newspaper or on one website. And I know that there were a lot of people that had a problem with that. Oh, you're a Muslim woman, or you're this. And I remember that my husband used to stand up for me. Every time someone said, oh, I saw your dog with your wife in another newspaper article, it would be like, if you look closely, I'm pretty sure I was behind her. So I think that it's all very personal, this thing, but I think that it's a barrier that needs to be broken. I'm a Muslim woman, and that's my creed. That's the first thing that defines who I am. So everything that I do must always portray Islam in a particular light. Yes. So I always make sure that even if I'm out there, even if I'm doing things, I'm representing my faith, my family very well. And I think that if we do that, maybe people will begin to,
All right, thank you. Please, a round of applause for that. So 2 more questions. Maybe I should leave a room for just one person. If you have a question, just come forward. Because we don't want questions, questions. Just one person, please come.
And before the next person comes, I'm just going to say something that with my parents, I know that for a long time my dad was a bit disappointed that I left the medical field, but I'll share a story of how it became convinced. The first fusion event we had in Lagos was at the very prestigious hotel. And at this time, my dad was still not having it. So I had to go back home. I stayed at home and went for the event from home. So my dad happened to be around VI when the venue was situated, when the event was taking place. So he just decided to pop in, just to see what was going on. And he literally stayed at the doors for over 2 hours, introducing himself to everybody and said, oh, Samia's daddy. Oh, are you here for fusion? Oh, Samia's daddy. And then he came that night. I remember my dad came home and he said, I didn't know this was what it was. I didn't know. I said, but you didn't ask. So at that point, I proved myself to him. And now, before he passed, he was one that would call me and say, I have this friend's daughter that I just relocated. Maybe you can give her some tips on entrepreneurship. I'm like, okay, not on medicine. So sometimes you just have to fight a little harder to prove yourself. Because if I had failed, I think that was one of my strongest motivating factors as well. I knew that I could not fail. I could not go back in my table, put my leg and say, Daddy, please give me money. No, I had to prove myself. So sometimes things that limit you actually propel you as well.
All right.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much. I like the outfits, first of all. And seeing you on the stage like this is actually an inspiration to me because it's a dream for me. Thank you. So my question is, how are you, do you have any challenges transition from medical career to business career? I'm asking this question because I'm a vet doctor and after I decided to go into it and I started something and everybody was kind of looking at me like, I'm in the wrong way. Like, I used to spend 6 years in school, not even trying to practice for one. I was like, I really want to do this, but it's kind of challenging. Do you have any challenges transition from medical career to business career? And please, how do you overcome it? Thank you.
I think for me, my transition was pretty simple because remember that I said I was already doing this in medical school. So it was more like a continuation for me. But what I will tell you is that every place, every single place that you pass through in life has a reason. Nothing is wasted. So when people say you wasted 6 years, I did 8 years. When people say you wasted 8 years, I'm like, no, the things I learned in medical school helped me till this. The attention to detail that I put in my work, the ability to work without hours, without much sleep, all of those things I gained from medical school. So pick the things that you gained when you were in veterinary school and apply them to your life. Don't let everybody make you feel like you wasted anything. Find your way. My journey is different from your journey. I started really early, like I said. So I can't tell you, oh, I now have to start learning business. Oh, I now have time. I'm a naturally bold person. You might not be. So again, self-analysis, know yourself, know your weaknesses, know your strengths. Add everything together and push through. Know where you want to get to and push through.
Talk about someone pushing through. She actually came all the way from where you're sitting.
Oh, wow.
Thank you very much. So what's your, I think this is just about the last question, what's your most outstanding quality as an entrepreneur? And what would you charge us?
My most outstanding quality. I think that I'm just a natural go-getter.
Okay.
I will go for it, period. I think that's it for me. Like I said, I don't have any business fear. I will try something. I'm not afraid of failure. I'm actually pretend to fail. Failure that we have an understanding. You can come, but you can't say it's no. We have an understanding. I have started businesses. I have backed them up. So for me, it's just I want to do this. I've prayed about this. It makes sense to me. I've gained knowledge. I'm going to do it. Period. So I think that my strongest quality as an entrepreneur that limits a lot of people because they're afraid of what people will say, they're afraid of things, and I go get that. I will do it.
Amazing. Please, a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much, Dr. Sophia Koga. Really good.
Philip Ojiri is a Syrian entrepreneur, a certified digital marketing instructor, and 3D fashion instructor. He is Chief Creative Director and Chief Operating Officer of Shirts, a fast-growing fashion retail company in Lagos, Nigeria. Philip is also the co-founder of Nagon Technologies. Ladies and gentlemen, with a standing ovation, please give a real platform welcome to Philip Ojiri as he takes the podium.
Good day, everyone. I'll start with, I ventured into fashion by accident. It was not in my career plan at all. I started fashion week after we had pre-wedding pictures, and everybody thought my shirts was great because I actually made them. Now, the truth is, till today, I don't know how to sew and I don't know how to measure at all. The only things I know how to do is to design a product and to market, digital marketing. So I capitalized on my strengths and I'll outsource the rest because I feel like it would be too much for me to do all. I'm not discouraging anybody like you want to design, you want to sew, you want to know. I'm not discouraging you, but it's more easier for you when you can capitalize on your strength and outsource the rest. I also ventured into tech by accident. I had a neighbor, he came in from South Africa, he was starting a phone company, and he didn't know how to start. I designed the phones, an Android phone. I designed the Android phone, and we came into partnership, and that's how we started. And the business failed. Let me tell you why the business failed. It failed